leaving home at the age of 19. I'm from a little city called Chatham, Ontario. My entire tribe, yep, 519 represent, yep. When I was 19, I left home. I actually came up here to go to university. I didn't know a single soul when I moved into town. I left everyone I loved, my entire network, my entire tribe, everybody I knew and loved was back in the city. So it wasn't like Abe coming across, coming a long way. But at the end of the day, that's all I knew. So coming up to London was a really scary experience for me. I ultimately went to the University of Western Ontario and I got a BA in sociology. So I knew I wanted to help people and I find people absolutely fascinating. So I ended up with a BA in sociology. We were always taught, go to university, get a degree, get a job. So I came out with a whack of debt, expecting somebody somewhere to scoop me up and give me a job. Didn't happen. I actually ended up working at White Oaks Mall for a year, selling leather coats for a store that actually doesn't exist anymore, so that wouldn't have been a good career move back in the day. And then I heard that Fanshawe College was offering Millenial grants. So I couldn't do anything beyond my 3-year degree because I had no more money left. I'd exhausted OSAP. I didn't have, well, my parents were very supportive, but they couldn't pay for my education. So I ended up applying to the Millenial grant and I got it. So I ended up taking my diploma in corporate communications and public relations because I knew ultimately if I was going to work with people and help people, I might as well learn how to communicate effectively. And actually, sidebar, one of those courses was public speaking, and anyone that knows me from when I was small, I was the shyest person around. Very, very, very shy. So I actually was encouraged by doing that because I thought, well, if it scares the crap out of me, it's probably worth doing. So that's another life lesson for y'all. So I ended up graduating from there, and that was my first exposure to how powerful your tribe could be. So again, not having a tribe, coming up here, creating my wealth of network of people who are going to help me along the way. So there was a teacher of mine in my Fanshawe College course, and he knew a friend of a friend who owned a business, and that person was expanding into London. So it was part of that 80% of jobs that are never advertised. That was one of those jobs. So I went for an interview, and lo and behold, they actually hired me to be a recruiter. No idea back in the day what the hell a recruiter was. All I know was, hey, I get to interview people for a living. That could be fun. I don't know if it's good or bad basing your career on something that sounds like fun but you don't know what it's talking about, but I gave it a chance. I ended up loving what I did. Wasn't quite sure where I was going to end up at the end of the day, but I loved being a recruiter, I loved working with people, so I worked for a couple of different agencies here and there, and then I ended up getting married, had a couple of kids, found my dream job. I was an employment specialist for people with disabilities. So I actually got to go out there and create opportunities for people in the community that wouldn't normally have an opportunity to do so. I loved it. Didn't pay very well, but at the end of the day, it was something that I loved. And then in 2014, the bottom fell out of my life. I found myself unexpectedly a single mom with 2 little kids to support. So I basically felt like I had to choose between the job that I love and supporting my children. So as I pondered on it and thought, what the hell am I going to do? A friend of mine from about 10 years before then reached out to me. And she said, hey, I've got this opportunity for you. And I was thinking, wow, an opportunity that, again, wasn't advertised from someone I hadn't talked to in 10 years, but was part of my network and part of my tribe. So I ended up going for an interview there, ended up getting the job. It wasn't really for me. It was in a factory doing recruiting, but it came with a pension, and it came with benefits, and it came with a good rate of pay for my kids. So I decided I'll give up the job that I love in order to make sure that my kids could, be fed on a daily basis, because they do like to eat. Darn kids. So I did that for a little while, and then out of the blue, I lost my job, unexpectedly. Going to work one day, thinking I'm having a job, I end up about an hour later, completely unemployed, and I thought, what am I going to do? I actually said a whole bunch of really nasty things. I didn't just say it that way. I had my little cry fest, but ultimately I thought, what the hell am I going to do? I've got 2 little kids, now I'm unemployed, I have no idea what I'm going to do. So I reached out to a friend of mine. She couldn't make it tonight, but her name is Rhonda. I know some of you know Rhonda. So I had called Rhonda because when I was a job developer for people with disabilities, she was the only staffing agency in town that would give one of my clients an opportunity. So I knew she had a big heart, and I knew that she was an amazing person and she had a great business going on. So I thought, hey, maybe she'll give me some direction in life that I'm lacking right now. So I called her, sobbing, ugly, crying, the whole shebang. And I'm like, Rhonda, I lost my job. I don't know what I'm going to do. And she says, that is great. Those of you that know Rhonda, sounds like a Rhonda thing, right? Right, yeah. So I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This isn't great. She said, but now it's a chance for you to actually run your own business. So I hadn't thought of running my own business this entire time because life just kept happening to me and things kept falling apart. And I just, like Chantel said, one foot in front of the other. I was just surviving for so many years. So she gave me this beautiful opportunity to actually start my own business and something I was really good at. Because I had 17 years of staffing experience by then, and I wanted to do really well. And well, it did. Her and I had a really, really great thing going. I was on top of the world, I'm meeting awesome people, I got published, I'm doing public speaking, I met probably half this room through some of the networking events that I was going to. And then, like everything, it got to be a little too much. I never dreamed that running your own business was so fucking hard. So hard. No idea. So to me, I didn't want to feel like a failure. I worked so hard for this dream for so many years. And all of a sudden I was considering giving it up for a very good reason, which are my 2 children. So instead of just completely giving it up, I thought, you know what, let me maybe look for a part-time job. See if something would come up and something that would give me a steady paycheck so that I wouldn't be worried about the high highs and the low lows, but would still continue to be able to feed my soul and do my business, which is helping people obtain employment, which we all know is the means to an end, unless you really love it and it doesn't feel like work. So out of the blue, again, got a call from a friend of mine named Darlene O'Neill. She is the career manager over at Fanshawe. She's a director now. But she called me out of the blue. I was actually on a field trip with my son because the flexibility of having your own business was wonderful. So she called me. I'm in line for the Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland. I'm a thrill seeker. I love that stuff. Anyway, I'm in line and she calls me. She said, hey, Rebecca, there's this opportunity over at Fanshawe and I think you should consider it. And I'm thinking, how does she know that at this point in time I'm starting to consider giving up my own business? And all of a sudden she's calling me out of the blue after not talking to her for years with this opportunity. So I ended up getting that opportunity. And I thought, wow, this is awesome. But I still wasn't really believing that that was what I was supposed to be doing. So I reached out to another friend of mine named Paula Morand, which brought me pretty much in contact with most of you in this room tonight. So I said, Paula, I don't know what to do. I feel like a loser because now I've given up my dream of a business. I'm working a part-time job that I really love, but I'm not feeling like an entrepreneur. And she said to me, being an entrepreneur is however you want it to look. It's your show, baby. You're the boss. And I thought, wow, that's so insightful. So I went from feeling like a tiny little loser who had to give up her dream job of having her own business for the sake of supporting her kids to, wow, I'm an entrepreneur. I can do this. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about this. I'm the only one that speaks for me. I'm the boss. So I ended up doing that and absolutely loved it, doing the juggle of both. And then again, it just became too much. I was constantly putting my all into my kids. I was putting my all into my part-time job, and I was putting my all into the business. We all know what happens when you come to that situation, complete and utter burnout. And then the skies opened up, gave me an opportunity to work full-time at Fanshawe College. So right now, I love what I do. I'm blessed to be able to teach back at that institution, Fanshawe College, that gave me and opened up the road for me into a career that I've loved for almost 20 years now. So I get to be that person to those students that someone once upon a time ago was to me. And I think it's the most beautiful feeling in the world that I feel so honored to be able to do that. So at the end of the day, I want to leave you with two thoughts. Are you the boss of you? Make sure you are the boss of you, because at the end of the day, you're the only one that can make that can make it or break it for yourself. Life's going to happen. Shit happens, really great things happen, but it doesn't define you. At the end of the day, it's all about how we react to these situations, and at the end of the day, make sure that you have that tribe. Make sure your tribe speaks to you, that your tribe supports you, and that your tribe is there right to the very end. Thank you.